Thank you, Rahul. So I'm Joseph from Adventure Recruitment. If you can think back to the last time that you had to negotiate your salary, or if you haven't yet, if you can imagine you're about to negotiate and enter that conversation, how did you feel? Were you maybe a little unsure or uncomfortable? Did you get the best possible deal? Salary negotiations can be one of the most anxiety-inducing parts of our careers, but they don't have to be. In fact, learning how to negotiate your salary is one of the most important skills that you can develop for your financial future and your career progression. Whether you're entering the job market, switching roles, or seeking a raise, the ability to effectively negotiate your salary can have a significant impact on your career trajectory, your financial well-being, and your overall job satisfaction. Today, I'll be sharing some practical tips and strategies that will help you navigate salary negotiations with confidence and ensure you're being compensated fairly for your skills and experience. I run a games recruitment company called Adventure Recruitment. We've helped hundreds of people to get great job offers. I'm from England, and then I lived in California for 8 years, and then I moved here to India in 2006, and I live in Bangalore. We help games companies to fill positions with programmers, artists, designers, producers, project managers. If anyone would like to connect with me, I'll accept any connection requests on LinkedIn. Okay, so let's start with what is your situation? Because it's very different strategy depending on what your situation is. Are you early in your career and maybe more focused on getting great experience and what you can learn? Or are you a good mid-level employee who's looking to start earning the money you feel you deserve? Or are you a senior employee trying to compete and get some of the best salary rates for what you do? Or are you an expert in what you want to do? Maybe you want to take on multiple projects and maximize your income and your lifestyle and work from home, and a lot of options that can be open to you. Do you have other job offers? Having other job offers will always put you in a position of strength, so you have to be quite conscious of how strong is your negotiating position. How's the market as a whole right now? Are you aware of what the market's like? Then let's consider what are your priorities. Salary is, or should be, only part of your considerations. If you take up this new position or promotion within your current company, how good is that going to be for you in other ways? How much are you going to learn? How much will you be able to grow in the position? How much in terms of management and taking on a larger team, those kind of things can be important factors. How happy do you think you'll be in the position? Equally important. It's not just about money. What are the working hours like? You know, some companies are very upfront that they just working round the clock. Other companies are much more organized. It's good to be aware of that. How good will the experience be for your long-term career? If you're early in your career, getting a job at a big name, you know, Electronic Arts or Ubisoft or Zynga, somebody like that, can be awesome for your career to know that you've worked for and you've seen how things are done at a tier 1 studio. So everyone has different priorities. What are yours? Okay. So then a good thing to think about is, what is your value in the market? So any good salary negotiation starts with a good reality check on what is your market value. How how good of an employee are you? How many years experience have you got? What kind of feedback are you getting on your work? How good are you compared to your peers? What are the market rates for somebody with your skills? So how do you find that out? You can check job portals. Sometimes they show salary ranges, often they don't. So you have to talk with your friends who work in the industry. You can ask your colleagues, but you have to be a little careful of that. A lot of contracts say you're not allowed to discuss salaries, so you only ask with very close friends. So you can ask recruitment companies like ours. We talk to a lot of people about what salary they're on, what are they looking for. We talk to companies about the salary ranges that they have available. So here are the current market rates that we're seeing for a lot of the main positions in gaming across India. These are typically from Tier 1 and Tier 2 level companies in Tier 1 cities. So, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Mumbai, Delhi. And right now we're seeing games artists with 3 to 12 years experience are typically earning about 10 to 25 lakhs per year. Technical artists, there's a very wide range on this, but on all of these, but 20 to 50 lakhs for technical artists are in high demand. Lead artists and art directors are 30 to 80 lakhs. Game developers with 3 to 12 years experience are 15 to 45 lakhs. Lead programmers and tech directors are anywhere from 40 lakhs to 1.5 crores. Designers with 3 to 10 years of experience, 10 to 30 lakhs. Lead designers and design directors are 30 to 70 lakhs. Producers and product managers, 20 to 60 lakhs. And lead product managers and executive producers, 50 lakhs to 1.5 crore. The market in general is up from last year. In terms of positions, things were a little slow last year, so it's good to see a lot of new positions, but not big salary increases yet. Hopefully there'll be more of that to come. All right, so when to ask for what you want with a new employer. If you're interviewing for a new job, it's good if you can do a quick check at the beginning of the process what sort of salary ranges they have in mind, so that the thing's not a complete waste of time if you're looking for more than they have available. But it's difficult to sometimes find that out if they haven't published it. And so maybe you can just ask a quick question. They're gonna, if you do push them for, hey, how much can you pay me? They're gonna say, well, it depends. When we've interviewed you, we need to assess how good you actually are, how you compare to our current employees. But just to get a rough idea so it's not a waste of time. But the main negotiation, the most powerful time to negotiate is after they've decided that they want to offer you the job. So I have the analogy of like a Porsche salesman. If you're walking into a car showroom and you're the kind of person who's looking to buy a Porsche, you don't want a salesman to come up to you and say, oh, it costs 2 crores, have you got the money? Or you want to get the guy so excited about the Porsche that he wants to buy it, whatever the price. And that's where, certainly as you become senior or a lead person in what you want to do, you want to get companies so excited in you, they don't want to lose you. So how can you go about this negotiation? First of all, I suggest you have your numbers ready. So think about what salary it is you'd like to get. Think about the minimum salary that you'd accept. And be ready to say what your current CTC is as well. We have situations with candidates, all they say is, oh, I get this much in hand per month, I don't know But companies think in CTC, cost to company, usually in an annual number, so have that ready. And then prepare how best to present your case and practice it. Keep things very calm and reasonable. Share your points and listen to theirs. Remember that a salary negotiation is not, or it shouldn't be, an adversarial conversation. It's about finding a fair and mutually beneficial agreement. A good way to start is with gratitude and positivity. You can say, you know, I'm really excited about your position. I'm really keen to work with you guys. So then, depending on where you're at with your career and your situation, as we've discussed, you may have a different strategy. So let's consider firstly, if you're entry level, it might be good, perhaps your priority is that you just want to get great experience, and you can say, hey, look, I'm open to taking a fair market rate for the position. That just shows that you're somebody with a really positive attitude to learning and wanting to join their company. And you can get their offer, and then you can say, hey, are you sure that's enough to live if you're moving to Bangalore or something? You know, what are the rents? How much is it going to cost me for food? And you can check and maybe negotiate a little bit afterwards. But you certainly start the negotiation by being very open-minded. Now, if you're already in a position with a decent salary and you're looking for more, you might want to put out a specific number. So you could say, hey, look, I'm on 15 lakhs, but I believe a fair market rate for me would be 25 lakhs. And, you know, they may say, well, that's quite a big increase. Why do you want, we can give you 20%, won't that be enough? So then it's good to have some extra points to back up, and you stay calm and reasonable, and you put your points that, well, my annual appraisal's coming up in 3 months, I'm going to be walking away from that. It's more expensive cost of living where you are. I've got friends who have got the same level of experience as me, and they're on 25 to 30 lakhs. So that's why I believe that's fair. Please come back to me with whatever you think's the best that you're comfortable with. Another strategy might be, once you've got the offer, to say, look, if you can just increase it a bit more, then I'm ready to accept. So if you're specific and you're saying, not just saying, oh, make it a bit more, but if you say, hey, you've offered me 20 lakhs, if you can make it 22, I'm ready to accept. I'm ready to turn down my other offers. That can be a powerful way of negotiating. One of the best ways to get the best possible offer from any one company is to let them know if you have offers from other companies. And I'll only do this if it's genuine, but if they know that you've got another job offer, you can let them know, hey, look, I've got an offer from Electronic Arts, I've got to decide by the end of next week, could we please finish the process? I'm really keen on you guys, so what you're doing is more the game I want to be working on, and then you can be sure they're going to put out the best possible offer for you. So I suggest you are as direct and clear as you can be about the numbers. Say specific numbers, or say the range that you had in mind based on your research. Silence can also be a very powerful negotiation method, especially after you've given a number, to just give them time. Sometimes they'll come back to you with things you hadn't expected if you just give them time to think about it. But be understanding of their situation too. It's not just about salary numbers. If they're in a startup mode and they're not yet profitable, or if it's a new game team or division, consider what else you could get in return for the position. Generally speaking, if you can get the job that you want the most, and that is at the same salary or close to the same salary you get out of all the companies you have opportunities with, that's usually the best thing. So don't always expect a company to give you the highest possible salary and have the best possible job. Okay, so that's negotiating with companies for a new job at a new company. A lot of people get their salary reviewed when they're staying at a company, and it will come up usually in your annual yearly review. So the best time to prepare for this is right at the beginning of the year, when they set the objectives for you. And that's the easy time to ask as many questions as you want about what exactly are you expecting from me? And if I do deliver on that, what kind of pay rises do you get? If I do a great job or if I do an okay job, what are the numbers? And they'll probably happily tell you then, our pay ranges are from 10 to 40% increase. Whereas if you only ask at the end of the year, they're not going to say 40%. They're going to say, 20, you've done a great job, 20% is really good. And you can also ask about what kind of career progression am I going to get? If I do a great job, what's the chance of me moving from mid to senior or from senior to lead? What exactly do I need to do to achieve that kind of promotion? Okay, so when you're in your annual performance review, you can ask and find out how well you've done. If you've done great, then ask for a great increase. If you've done well, then you should temper your expectations and only look for a reasonable increase. Yeah? Think of this more as a give and take relationship, not a hardball negotiation. Good employers will want to keep you happy, and just giving them a hint that you aren't happy or giving them a helpful suggestion on the kind of number that you would keep you happy should be enough that they want to keep you in the job. If you're in a company where you haven't had a review in a long time, you may have to initiate this, and you can ask for a meeting with your manager. Practice what you want to say, but be reasonable. Say, hey, look, it's been a long time. I understand there are some challenges. That's why it hasn't happened. But when can we have the reviews? Get some sort of commitment on the time scales. So I suggest you turn the conversation from a potential conflict into a constructive discussion. Okay. Now, what to do if you don't get what you want? It's all nice for me to say, I'll ask for this, and hopefully you'll get it, but you may not. So what to do if they don't offer you as much as you wanted? Let's consider firstly if it's a new employer, you're considering a job at a different company. Sometimes employers will respond with, we can't meet that number, so don't panic. Ask follow-up questions. Is there any flexibility on the total compensation, such as bonuses or stock options or other benefits? If I come and join you, I know you want to see me deliver first. Could I have an early pay review? Could it be reviewed within 3 to 6 months instead of a full 12 months to wait for that? So you can reframe the conversation. Instead of just focusing on salary, you can expand it to cover other forms of compensation that matter to you. Training or promotions into new areas of work could be another solution. But ultimately, you have to be aware of knowing when to walk away. If you've exhausted all the options, respectfully decline the offer. And sometimes walking away is a powerful negotiation tactic too, and they may come back with something for you. So walking away is easy to do if it's an offer from a new company, but if you're disappointed with the performance review at your current company, then you might have to be a bit more strategic. Thank them and say that you understand that this is the best they can do, and then take your time to think about it. Sleep on it, don't make any rash decisions. Is this still the best option for you in your career? Or do you want to come up with a strategy plan that if things don't improve within the next 6 months, then you'll start looking for another job? Or do you want to start looking for another job right away? Usually, it's best to find another job before resigning from your current position, and this takes some time. Okay, so I have some common mistakes to avoid. One is accepting the first offer. Accepting it without any question. In a lot of cases where you're negotiating directly with a company, the first offer is just a starting point. It's a sign that they're interested, but they'll often be willing to negotiate. If you're working with a recruitment company, we try and avoid that and try and meet a good middle number that everybody's happy with first time. And avoid discussing your personal financial situation during salary negotiations. The conversation should focus on your qualifications, your market value, the value you're going to bring to the company, not on your personal situation and you've got this credit card debt to pay off or family members that are dependent on you. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear that you're focusing on what you need to be happy and what you're going to deliver for them. And don't rush the process. Take the time you need to make an informed decision, consult with other people if necessary, and let the employer know that you need a couple of days to consider the offer. This is especially important if you have multiple offers on the table. Okay, so I just got a couple of thoughts on contracts. It's pretty straightforward. Whatever you agree, make sure that you get the main details in writing. So you're going to want to have the salary, the start date. We've got situations coming up right now with some offers we have. Candidates got a 2-month notice period. They think they might be able to come out earlier, but the new employer are saying, oh, we only want them if they can start in 1 month, but that doesn't work if the company insists on the 2 months. So it's really important sometimes that the start dates are clarified in those situations. Your job title, exactly what you're getting, number of days leaves, and so on. So these are what I call the black and white items, and you must get them in writing. You can assume that even though somebody said something to you, they're going to forget it in a few months' time, so it's really important you have that to reference. But there are equally important what I call grey areas, which you can't expect to be in the main contract. They may or may not even be written down in an email, but they're equally important. And they're things like, when can you expect a performance review? How long might it take to get a promotion if you do a really good job? What kind of pay increases do they give depending on performance? What other growth opportunities, new projects are they expecting? So see if you can get them in writing, but at least keep notes on your own so you can reference it in future discussions. Be careful of any restrictions in your contract. The notice period generally shouldn't be more than 1 month, and it should be equal on both sides. If it's more than 1 month, you'll have trouble looking for a new job. A lot of companies will be willing to wait a month, but not more than that, to hire somebody new. And I think the last speaker touched on it about restrictions. Some very strong contracts say you're not allowed to work on any other games in the industry, which is really unfair, and I don't think you should agree with it. It's very reasonable for them to say that you can't work on exactly the same kind of game, and you obviously can't take stuff or replicate stuff that you've done, but you're working in the games industry and that denies you the opportunity to continue your career, or you have to risk breaking that clause in the future. Okay, so in conclusion, salary negotiations are about more than just a number. It's about understanding your situation, your priorities, and your value. You should prepare how best to negotiate on your behalf in a calm and respectful way, and listen and understand to their points too. Get the best terms you can, and then decide strategically and not emotionally if you're going to accept them or what your strategy for your career will be. If you're in agreement, then get all the main terms in writing and keep thorough notes on the other important grey area items. So as you leave today, I challenge you to make a small step towards improving your own salary negotiation skills and try researching the market rates for your type of position, practice your negotiation tactics, or set a goal to ask for a raise. So I wish you all best of luck with your careers in gaming. Feel free to email me directly here or connect with me on LinkedIn. I think we have a couple of minutes if anyone has any questions. Yes. One second, we'll give you a microphone. Yes.
Hi Joseph, my
Hi.
name is Praful Mishra, and
Yes.
my question is basically, can you put some light on remote work, which is currently being adopted post-COVID?
Yes. Would you like to know from a salary negotiation point of view, or would you like to know generally about how employers are reacting to it?
Yeah, for a remote job, let's say I'm working on an on-site organization right now. I go to office, right?
Yes.
Now I'm planning to switch and look for remote jobs. So how the approach should be, and what market is there for?
So you'd like to know generally how many jobs are remote and what it's like? Yeah.
What are the available remote opportunities and how we should approach it?
Sure, sure. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, all the factors gets affected, right? So for
Got it, got it. So I'll try to give you my perspective of the remote market as a whole, and I'll tie it into the salaries with that too. So since COVID proved that people can work remotely, the feedback I got from a lot of our clients and candidates was very mixed on how well it went. Some people said they loved it, they measured their productivity, it was even better because they weren't wasting time commuting. Others said they really missed it and they just want to get out of their houses. So as of now, most of the clients are pushing for people to come back into their offices, and at least, if not full-time on site, they prefer hybrid. There are a few, I met earlier today with a client we just placed somebody with, and they've taken it on board as one of their selling points, that they've fully embraced remote. Everything is remote. They've got people all over India, and they like it, and they'll be like that for at least the next 2 years. So there are some companies out there that are willing to do it. You'll have to search on the job portals. It should mention on job descriptions, or if you work with us, you can let us know that's the only kind of thing you want to do. But I would guess that it's about 20% of the opportunities that are available for remote only. And in terms of salaries, it depends what level you're at. Some companies want on-site, but they're looking for a tech director. They're so desperate, they'll hire somebody remote and they'll pay the same amount of money. But generally, like I can say for this Indian client that I met this morning, they pay good salaries, but not top-level salaries. And it's remote, so you can stay somewhere cheap. You can stay in your hometown, and so you'd have more spare income, but your actual number would be less than if you were in the middle of a big city. Yeah? All right. Thank you. Yes.
Yusuf, thank you for sharing all this knowledge. I have a question, like when we are working with a company for years and we have produced some great artworks, and initially while joining the company we had signed an agreement like we would do certain things like we will not share the information about the projects or something like that. And while leaving the company, if the company forces you to sign things which were not initially in the agreement, are we supposed to do that? Because sometimes it happens like the company says like you cannot publish things that you have worked on or showcase things that you have worked on or share it on your resume, which you were not aware of about initially. Are we supposed to agree on that, or we can leave the company without agreeing on that?
Okay, understood. So being able to show what you've worked on as an artist is really important. Your portfolio is more important than your resume, and I understand why that's so important. You're asking, should you sign these additional agreements? No, because you're leaving. Whatever you sign at the beginning. But you've got to handle it delicately, right? So I suggest you say, okay, thank you for this. Let me take it home, read about it, think about it, and then come back and say that this is really important to me to be able to share what I've worked on. You will need their permission. If it's not public domain, if it's not a game that's been launched or they put videos out on, don't do that without reaching an agreement with them. But you should not have to sign to a load of additional
what if the company gives you a threat like you have to sign it, otherwise will not give you relieving or experience certificate? If that happens, like how would you deal with that?
It's not right them doing that. You've got to be respectful about it. You can say, hey, look, I've checked with a few mentors I've got, and this is not ordinary industry practice. Please, I want to be a good employee. I want to leave on good terms. I want to finish up whatever duties you need me to do. But I've been advised to not sign. What's their logic in this? Is it because it's not
the company feels insecure about a person who's leaving might publish the work, or maybe that's the thing. I don't know, because
if the game has not been launched, you can't do that.
Once it is launched also, there's a criteria, like you have to approach us, like without our permission, you cannot showcase your own work as well, which you have delivered in the company. For years of work, you go wasted.
I know some companies are really strict, even when especially some of these outsourcing companies have really strong contracts. Even if it's been launched, you can't show. But I know one way candidates get around it is that they don't put it on their public portfolio, but they say in the interview, hey, look, I can't send it to you, but I can show you it on my laptop. So you can do it privately like that as like a last resort. So you're not spreading it publicly, but you're showing the work. I hope that might be. You're going to have to tread carefully and just appeal to their reason when you're talking to them directly. Otherwise, just show it privately.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Hi. So my question is along the lines of, let's say I'm negotiating a salary with a company that I've already worked with for a while.
Yes.
A lot of the times, personal connections tend to play a role in those negotiations.
Yes.
And in my very little experience till now, they haven't worked in my favor yet.
Okay.
So how do I make those personal connections either work in my favor or at the very least not play a role at all? What are things that I can do?
Yes. I mean, you want to be a good team player, but don't feel like that is the most important. It might be the most important thing for getting a pay rise right now. But in the big scheme of things, just being the best you can be at what you do will win through in the end. Hopefully, if they want to keep you, they will give you good pay rises. But another topic I talked about last year is really to maximize your long-term earning potential. It's good to change companies every 3 or 4 years to broaden your experience, see how different businesses operate, understand different skill sets, and you can get big increases when you change to if you stay at the same company, you might get 10 to 20%, maybe 30% if you're very lucky or the top performer. But when you change companies, you can get, we're getting people at the moment 60% increases, 70% increases. Sort of 30% is generally the standard people ask for when you're changing jobs. You may have to do that at some point.
I like to ask you that what should be your financial response to a company which is not doing very well financially as an employee?
And when you're asking me what should be your response, have they asked you a question about it, or what?
Yeah, well, they're asking me to adjust on my salaries for a while until the company regains its
They're
financial
asking you
health.
to go down.
Yeah.
Okay, geez. So, have they said if you were to make some compromises for them, what are they offering in the long term? Will they catch up with that missing pay? What have they said?
They are not going to catch up with the missing pay. Neither they are going to promise any appraisals as well.
Yeah. Well, I would suggest you start planning strategically for a new job. So you continue with them. You don't want to have no job. You be reasonable with them and say, look, that's going to be difficult. What kind of number are you thinking of? You know, they say 50%. You say, look, I can do 20%, something. And you start looking for a new job as soon as possible. Because it can be, gosh, when I first moved to India, there was all that Kingfisher Airlines. And he paid all his salaries abroad with his foreign companies. And there were all these cases of pilots who didn't get paid for 3 years because they kept hanging on. And it's probably only going to get worse. And you should start looking for a new job.
Thank you for the advice. It was good.
Sure. All right.
Hi.
Oh, we have, okay, let's do one more because I know we're over time.
It's actually not a question. That gentleman over there, when he asked that question about the exit paperwork.
Yes.
So I'm a transactional IT lawyer.
Oh, please,
I'd
you
like
know
to
more
actually
than me,
address
please.
that.
Yeah.
So actually another thing was, first things first, non-completes in India are not valid. They're
Good.
not fundamentally correct. Your fundamental rights prevail.
I've heard of that they're not enforceable, but you know what the court system's like, is they can still create trouble, sending you lawyer letters and contacting your new employer saying, do you realize?
Yeah, but the enforceability in court is very negligible, and even if it is an unpaid one, it is completely not something that the courts agree with. So there's something called a garden, so for your key managerial positions, they give you money to sit at home.
Yes.
For 6
God,
months of the
if it's
year.
paid, fair enough, but they can't expect you to sit around doing nothing without.
So a lot of contracts do have them as a deterrent because a lot of people are not really aware of the fact that they're not valid.
Yes.
So you can always fight around saying, you know what, it's anyways unfundamental, you can't do this.
Yes.
So that's one. Secondly, with regards to the exit paperwork,
Yes.
when people deal and create IP, right, a lot of your contracts have something called work for hire models. So when you sign them, there's something called section 17 of the copyright,
Yes.
which essentially says that whatever, because I'm paying you the salary, whatever you create now under my employment is going to be belonging with me.
Yes.
So that is fundamentally just theirs. Secondly, what happens is when you exit, they always ask you to sign certain paperwork, which is only and only for assignment of the pieces that you have already created for them.
Yes.
For example, if you want to break it down, if you create, say for example, an avatar or a skin or something like that, which inherently has some sort of intellectual property in it,
Yes.
just because as a large conglomerate or as a company, you will essentially have to then give and assign that same IP to multiple different entities, right? If you're selling your game, say for example, you have to give the IP of the whole piece.
Yes.
So what they're doing is essentially, if X leaves the company, I'm taking that in my name, so that when I transfer it to somebody else, I have that valid IP in my name. So to the extent that you're just assigning IP of what you have created under the employment, it's okay, but you can always negotiate it by saying non-commercial usage I still get to do because that's still my right. Which means while you can't monetize the IP that you have
Yes.
created, showcasing it still is not something that's wrong.
Yeah, because I'm sure that's all he wanted to do, is to show it to future employers, not to put out a game with it or anything, right? So that's a very good way of correctly wording it. With the,
Non-commercial usage or non-monetized usage still
Yes.
works in your favor. So
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to say.
good. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joseph. That was fantastic. And once again, this is going to be up on YouTube.
like that's a lot for these videos. So after IGDC, do go to the YouTube and find these videos and share them. Like this was amazing information, but it just gets lost. So if you go to the website, find this video, share it to the network. This is amazing. Share it to the network, right? That would be fantastic. Thank you so much. And that's a wrap for the careers track. See you guys next year. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you.